Martina, thank you very much for meeting with me on Zoom today. And I just love to talk to you about obviously the Sisters of St. Louis and your time as the cook in the Motherhouse. You've been there for approximately 10 years. So
Yep.
I suppose I just wanted to kind of start off with just telling us some stories about the sisters you knew, some happy stories, some memorable stories. So I'll just leave the floor over to you.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's funny. I contacted a friend when I seen the job advertised, and she told me
Mm.
it's for the convent, and I went, "Really?" And I met up with Janice from Marmark, and we she offered me the position, and I was delighted, over the moon to get in, and obviously I was quite familiar with the convent and the grounds. Now I didn't go to school there; it was through family, and my two sisters did go to school there. But I arrived in on my first evening, and well, of course, I never thought I'd remember everybody's names, and everybody had such unusual names. I said, "Oh, good Lord, I never remember all of these." But gradually, you get to know them. You get to know their different personalities, and they're just. I mean, I just have loved the job. It's, as I said, it's like going in and cooking for all my grannies at the one time. I know they mightn't like me to hear this, I was saying that, but they
Uh,
were just absolutely. And it was the first job I was ever in that everybody kept saying thank you, and it was, you were just so, they were so nice to all the staff, and all of us were. They were great. I go back to the days of when Conla was there, and I called Conla the banana police, because if there was ever a mark on any of the bananas, when every evening it's a Conla, you need to talk to the suppliers, and I said, obviously the caterer and Conla, so you need to talk to the suppliers now. They all need to be sent back now. It's not good enough, and you dreaded if there was ever spotty bananas come in because you knew the Conla was never going to. But they were all great. Maureen, of course, Maureen O'Reilly was in the house, and sure, she kept a nation going, and we had great fun with Maureen. Um, every sister is special in their own way. Everybody has their own quirky way going on, and you'd have the different banter with different people, and you knew when other people were more reserved, and yeah, it's just a special place, very special.
and had you worked as cook in other places beforehand? And if so, was there any difference?
Oh, it was completely different to any other job I had. Completely different. Before I joined the sisters, I was a catering manager in Craigavon Hospital. I was chef manager in Newry College, but they're always fast going places pace in it. You never got to. I think it's probably the time that you got. Now it sounds like I didn't do much of a day's work, but it was people being able to pop in to see you, and having the chat, and there was just that bit of time given to you that you never got in any other job, and we were kept busy, but it was a relaxed environment. It was just like cooking at home,
You're right. Yeah.
and yeah, so very different to any other environment. It's without doubt the best job I ever had. That's no doubt about it,
And what was it you think that made it different, other than the pace? Was it the
It was because you just felt like you're going into your own kitchen to
yeah,
cook for your family, and
yeah,
because that's what you were made feel like when you came to the house.
yes,
You weren't a stranger. You've automatically felt like you were wanted.
right.
And like, okay, you could have had a couple of mishaps in the kitchen where the cake had got a bit of a browner top than it should have, but and sometimes it didn't seem to matter because it was beautiful. It was beautiful,
Yeah.
you know.
So they were very
But
appreciative no matter what.
very appreciative, and but it was great. Then because they started to trust you. I remember Green on saying one day, and this is quite in the early days, because if there was anything that they needed, or any extras they wanted, it would say to them, "Let's just come into us. We'll sort it out. We'll get it for you." And Green on came out. She says, "Always feel safe when you're here." And things like that, when people
Oh,
say like it's very special. It is
yes. Yeah.
special,
Yeah. I've had a
and you
similar
never get that
experience
anywhere.
myself. Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Just that feeling valued, that just
Yeah,
everything you
yeah,
do is appreciated, no
yeah,
matter how
yeah,
small. And
yeah.
people have asked me, why are you still working with the Sisters of St. Louis? You know, and I'm going, why wouldn't I? Everything I do, I feel
Yeah,
valued. That's not
yeah,
doesn't happen anywhere
yeah.
else, you know. Appreciate.
You don't get that anywhere
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
I
Just
don't,
yeah.
and that's where it's very hard now. Obviously, there's few of us going off to try to find other work, and how are we going to compare it now to where we've
I
been for the past,
know, I know.
And we're like back into the real world again.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, who
Yeah,
knows? Who knows? Who knows? You never.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So have
yeah.
you any kind of funny stories or particularly memorable experiences or
Uh, gosh, funny stories. No, I'd say the biggest fun that we had was with Maureen.
yes.
Because Maureen, you just never knew what Maureen was going to come out with. And we used
Yeah.
to have our breaks with Maureen. And there's actually a video that I was showing to the sisters there recently. And Maureen had a way of pronouncing things Maureen's way. And
Yes.
she'd be talking about the epiphany and she says the three wise men, Frank Goldemer, and it was always Frank, and it was just, and then at the end of it, well, I'm not going to repeat some of the things Maureen would say actually, but yeah, it was the you just never knew what Maureen was going to come out with, and we had great banter with her.
Maureen was a woman who kind of grew up in the convent, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Or
Maureen was one of the orphans.
yes.
Yeah, that
And
stayed, and she helped. Then she was in the chapel, and she worked in the laundry with Eileen. Her and Eileen had a very special bond.
yeah,
Sister Eileen Alborn, and they were very close.
yeah.
And oh, Maureen would hold on to every word that Eileen would say,
Okay.
and yeah, but she just was up. And Maureen loved the men. She
Yes.
loved the men, any man that would come in around the place. Is that your boyfriend? Is that your boyfriend? Paddy and Colin, she'd always have to sit on her break with Paddy and Colin, even though she'd sit in with us, because she'd have to hear what the banter would be going on with the men. And
Okay.
yeah, she was a character.
Yeah.
But it's funny when I think of the funny stories, I'll probably come up with one that I'll remember
Well,
it this evening at
yeah,
six.
yeah. We can always have another meeting if that happens. Um, the other thing that I found out about you is that you had four grandaunts, not one, not two, not three, but four grandaunts that were all sisters of St. Louis.
That's
Um,
right.
I'd love to hear what you remember of them. So you're probably quite young, maybe when they passed. I don't know. I'd love to hear all
No,
about
well, we're
what
we're,
you can
we're in
remember.
teenage years whenever Sister Linus passed, but we from we were kids we'd always been in around the convent and in the parlor for tea. And we felt they were very grand all together,
Yeah.
going into the parlour, the cups and saucers. But yeah, so it was my grandfather's sister, and his wife, my grandmother, her three sisters. They were Mohans, and Morgan, Wilburga, Alton, Barbara, and Linus. Now, Linus and Wilburga were in Monaghan, and the other two sisters between Carrick and Rathmines. So I never remember going to Carrick or Rathmines, but we were always in Monaghan. And yeah, we brought in as kids, and like there was six in my family, so the whole six wouldn't be brought in because it would just be too much for me mother to be able to cope with us. So she'd take a couple of us in, and before you'd arrive at the door, you'd be getting a clip in the ear saying, "Don't open your mouths, just don't open your mouths." And
To be on your best
so
behavior.
yeah, so the best behavior is just keep your mouth shut. And so as soon as Sister Linus might ask you a question, and I'd say, "Well, myself and Brian, Martina, it's Brian and I." And that straight, yeah, then I was, I told you not to open your mouth. But yeah, we were very lucky as kids. And then Daddy's two sisters would always sometimes they'd call, pick us up, and take us in to see the sisters as well. Wilburga worked in the kitchens,
Mm,
and my two sisters went to school in Monaghan, and Wilburga would be I can't say that her holy sister would be stealing, but she would be having. She had a couple of oranges in her pocket and would land over to the school and knock on their classroom door to give them their oranges for their break.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Now all the sisters are going to know where the oranges went, but
Just making sure they were properly fed, that they
oh
got the
yeah, yeah,
vitamin
yeah, they're
C.
probably bad oranges. But yeah,
Oh,
no, that we were very lucky that and then my father's sisters that they also were boarders in Kilkeel.
right.
So Daddy's other aunts were boarders as well in Monaghan. So there's always been a big connection with the Louis order and the family.
Wow. So little did you know when you were visiting your grandaunt's all those years ago in the park
Yeah,
that you'd end up
yeah.
working here.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And, Daddy's sister, she'd be very sad. Oh, sister, I'd be so proud of you going in there and looking after all the sisters.
Oh,
And it's great because the sisters would arrive down with different pictures that they'd find of some of the family, and there's also the list up of the anniversaries, and the be saying, "Oh, it's Barbara's anniversary today," or so
yeah. They were never
yeah.
forgotten in the family.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's lovely.
yeah.
That's really nice. Um, did you have any special culinary requests from the sisters as a cook? Was there ever anything unusual?
Uh,
Or
the
what was
one
their
that was the
favorite?
most, the one that was the one that sent me the most challenges would have been Marie Flanagan.
Right.
Marie
Okay.
Flanagan was gluten free, and well, she still is gluten free. She's out in the nursing home now, and so Marie is a real foodie,
Right.
and yeah, so there was specific recipes that she kept that she'd give to you every so often. So she'd have a chocolate and rum cake, and there was the Christmas buns. But the Christmas buns, the fruit was always marinated in brandy, so there's always maybe a little alcohol element to it going in, giving it the flavour. But Marie would always set you the challenge and it was all sweet dishes. She loved her
Sweet
pastries and her
tooth.
cakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you're
Uh,
looking after in the nursing home now with some of these requests.
Well, at the minute now, we're able to send out a few feces to her, and they keep them in the freezer for her, and
Ah,
yeah, so we'll stock her up as well before we,
yeah.
we head off. Yeah,
Oh, that's
and we'll
fantastic.
pop in to see her as well. Yeah, but
So
no, thankfully we're funny. Janice would say that Dublin would be slightly different. That they would be more uh, uh, inventive and try different dishes. Monaghan was always quite homely cooked food,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know. But I think by the time I arrived, the days of the apple crumble and all that, they were so fed up with all of those. So it was a change. They used to get a white pudding and different things. That all stopped. They stopped eating those. So we got a bit more inventive with our the dessert trolley was always the one that was the best seller.
I do remember I went down to visit. Oh gosh, I remember meeting you, Martina. Oh gosh, feels like it's sometime the last couple of years. And I
Okay.
had lunch down there, and I remember being, wow, I have a choice of about three or four desserts here. This is incredible. I
See that
was
doing
very
into me.
impressed. Yeah. So I
I'd
suppose
always have an excuse for the extras been on the trolley.
so I suppose I suppose the last question I'd like to ask is, what will you miss most, do you think, about Monaghan?
The sisters, the
Yeah,
sisters, because they're all just so special. And I think because we've got to know all their little wants and their needs, and Maura needs this, and Miriam doesn't like that, and we know now exactly what to have for them. And they're going off to Dublin, and I'm writing a list. And tomorrow, no, they have to eat what's in Dublin. That's it. Oh no, 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 no! You can't do that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
that just you know and never mind the food. It's the communication. It's the friendships that we formed with
Yeah,
all of them.
yeah.
And it's like to think of them not being there and driving past and knowing that they're not going to be in the house. Now I know I do believe that because the house has got quiet, I think
Mm,
it's going to be great for them to go to Dublin, and there's a bit more vibe around the place. And, I know it's a good move for them.
yeah.
I selfishly just don't want them to go,
Yes. Yeah.
and yeah, they're wonderful ladies,
Yes.
absolutely wonderful ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been very lucky, very
Yeah.
lucky. And I'm
Yeah.
going to try to not start crying because they all know that I'm the crier in the house.
I think you'll just have to be planning a few trips up to Dublin, saying you're going shopping, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, well,
stopping by
myself and a couple of the
Rathmines.
girls have already said now that we're going to head up when they all get settled in.
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely, we're not going to be. And my mother actually worked in the nursing home as a nurse.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
yeah. So again, would have been more my younger sister would have been brought in. She actually gave mommy a book when she finished in the nursing home, and it was all the pictures of the nursing home, the beautiful entrance downstairs and everything. And mommy came across the book the other day, and mommy and sister Betty would have had a great friendship, and Moya and mommy. And so, mommy's saying, well, we still have to keep in contact with them now, and Betty's going to have to come out for a lunch, and we'll meet Betty in town for coffee. And so she's still can dispose of who's left, and Katrina, who mommy would know as well, so
Yeah.
we'll still keep that friendship with the sisters that are
Absolutely.
still in Monaghan.
Absolutely. And I suppose even though a lot of them will have moved on to Dublin, I know some of them are kind of moving to Carrickmacross, I think, are they? I think maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, we've no the six sisters that we've left are all heading for
All
Rathmines.
right.
Yeah, to
Okay.
the different house in Rathmines.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Now,
So,
Sister Fanula would have family in Carrickmacross, so
right.
she would still have close connections there.
Okay.
I'd say that's what the Carrickmacross connection is.
Yeah. But I suppose
But
Dublin's
yeah,
not too far away. But I suppose I think it's one of those things that, as long as the building's there, I think, even if it will have a different use in the future, I think their spirit will always be there.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And my brother is the caretaker in the school.
Oh, I didn't know
Uh,
that either. I'm learning
yeah,
something all the time.
yeah. Well, we just don't
You
want to
really
leave the
do have
building.
huge
You'll
connections to
see
the
me
campus.
chained to the door. I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian's the caretaker over in the school, so we know that there's going to be somebody still about the place, and
Yes.
keeping an eye out on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it'll be also interesting to see what happens in the future, of the grounds, and it'd be lovely to see Monaghan people coming into the grounds, and you know for tourists and everybody coming in to go around the grounds and just see how beautiful it is.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, the magnificent buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's an end of an
anyway,
era.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is the end of an
but
era, but yeah, it is. It's sad, but I think they've left a wonderful legacy in the town.
oh, without doubt,
That's become very
without doubt.
clear to me as somebody, as an outsider, just
Yeah,
from people I've spoken to so far, and just even the coverage they got in the local media when at the mass there on March the 2nd.
yeah,
It's nothing short of extraordinary. So
yeah, yeah. No, they're so well got around the town, and but yeah, they're really, really going to be missed. They
yeah,
really are going to be missed. I know they mightn't be out in the community as much as they have been, but it's just that their presence there, is suppose that it's like a wee security blanket, know that they're there. And the amount of people that through the years while I've been there that would phone up and ask for the sister to say prayers for such and such. And, it was, the visitors that they had coming in to see them, and, the walking, seeing them on a Sunday walking around the beautiful garden. And, it's the special memories in it.
yeah, yeah.
There is, yeah, yeah.
Oh, anyway.
Yeah, I know. Don't I? I'm going to have. I'll have to
It-
get off that soon before I have to get a
yeah.
bucket for it.
Yeah, it's very hard to know how to finish this conversation because it's just something that, you could talk about for a long time. Just there's so many facets to their story and your experience and the legacy they're leaving behind. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and
Well, we're organising my family to come in, hopefully, in mid-April, and we're going to. Wilburga is still buried on the grounds of at the convent,
yes,
so we're going to go in to see her on the. I think it's around the 13th. There's another family, um, so. I'm not going to keep you, but there's a friend of my husband's that we were invited to his wedding, and his wife and we got talking, and it turned out that her great aunt was also a Louis sister, Sister Regis, and Sister Regis was I don't know if you heard about the duck. The Sister Regis used to feed the ducks,
This is sounding
and
familiar. I think I saw a photograph actually of her feeding the ducks on
yeah, and
Monaghan Historical Society Facebook page. Unless it's,
yeah,
I definitely
there's
saw a picture
actually
of a sister feeding ducks, put it that way.
yeah, it's
Sure.
actually that picture is in the back of the referatory. And apparently when the hearse was moving off as well, Paddy remembers it. The ducks followed the hearse.
No.
Yeah.
Uh,
So her so this is this girl's great aunt. So they have contacted me recently. So they're also going to come in to Regis' grave
oh,
in April now before the sisters leave, and they're coming in for afternoon tea then after.
oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
so you'll be busy for a while yet.
The more people coming into the house, it's great
Yeah,
because it keeps, there was a few visitors today and there's another few visitors coming this evening, and it's just bringing that wee bit more energy into the house,
yeah,
because it has gone quiet, but it's there's an apprehension with the sisters, obviously, they're leaving their home, they're leaving their own comfy beds to go
yeah,
off to pastures new, but um I still think it's a good thing for them,
yeah, yeah,
and I hope they all settle in well,
yeah.
you know.
And I, as you said, they're moving to a place where there's a larger community, so I think that will
Yeah,
bring vibrancy back to them. Even though,
definitely.
and a lot of the sisters that they're moving to places where there are sisters who have just moved to, like there's the sisters have moved over from England, so
Yes.
there are sisters in the same boat as them,
Yeah. Yeah.
and hopefully that will give them some comfort, and it'll also help them on a practical level to settle back.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
But it is, it's
Yeah.
a big change for them.
It's big. It
Yeah,
is. Yeah. There's some of the sisters who are really going to embrace it.
yeah,
And so the sisters that it's going to be now the day of the 25th is a day that, we all are,
yeah. That's April the 25th, is it?
April the 25th. Yeah. And funny, I suppose I had this idea that everybody might just slip off quietly, but
The Irish
it's been,
goodbye.
yeah, yeah. And I think some of them would like to do that,
Yes, yeah, yeah,
but I
yeah,
don't think they're getting the chance.
yeah,
So, yeah, it'll be a tough day.
yeah,
Tough day.
yeah, yeah. Oh, anyway, we'll be. I'll be thinking of you all anyway that day. Um, hang on in there. Oh, oh,
Thank
you
you.
okay? Anyway, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Martina, there's not much more to say. I can see the emotion. Thank you very much for having this chat, and although it's upsetting for all of you, there's something very I'd say beautiful from my point of view to see how much the sisters have meant to all of you. It's quite incredible. It's quite
Oh,
extraordinary.
yeah. Special ladies.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll finish
Ooh,
on that. We'll finish on that note.